Rashida, Sophia Soto with the Nerds of Color. First off, I just have to say I am such a big fan and your performance in the show is incredible. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Sophia.
So nice to meet you. And you really had to just balance a lot in terms of the dark comedy, the tragedy, the mystery, the suspense, and also being the voice of the audience, which is such an important job. I'm curious, did all of that make you like see something new in yourself as either an actor or a person? I mean, that's a big task as a lead.
Yeah, I had so much respect for, I like mysteries and thrillers, and I have so much respect now for like the person who is playing the kind of voice of the audience, because you have to like hold and sustain all this tension all the time. So there's never sort of like, even if you're playing a scene with a character and you're getting along or you're having a good time, you always have to remember in the back of your head that like the thing has to propel forward. It was very challenging, very. Yeah.
She did an excellent job.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
She did an excellent job. I hope it's not the last we see of you in these type of roles.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. And I know you had some influence when it came to the costumes for Suzie, which I found so interesting. How did you reflect on what the character meant to you, how you viewed her, what she was going through, and what were the small details that you felt were important to include when it came to her wardrobe?
Well, I think, firstly, it takes place in the near future in this kind of like retro version of Japan or the world. So Ana Lucia, the costume designer, she was so collaborative, and it was so fun to imagine what the world would be like just in a kind of a baseline way. But then, there's this kind of recurrence of this red jacket that I wear all the time, which is Masa's jacket that he wears in a lot of the flashbacks, and, tying that together, and that sort of like, as kind of defensive and as guarded as Suzie is in the world, it's just a little sign that she's always thinking about him and kind of lost without him, that she wears that jacket all the time. And then there's just like the depression wardrobe, which is really fun to think of because you're kind of in the same thing for many, many days and many weeks, or like you change one item of clothing but not anything else, or, I like the idea of not just having like a beautiful wardrobe where you change all the time, like actually having something that feels lived in, where you're a person who's going through something and your wardrobe reflects that,
I imagine stuff like that also, even though I'm not an actor, I imagine stuff like that helps you get into character as well, because the audience notices it.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of outside in. I think there's some actors who like will pick up on one little detail and use that as a way into a character. And for this show, I mean, there was so much for me to kind of like plug into to feel like I was that character. I was actually living in Japan. The production design, the costume design, like being in Kyoto, filming in Kyoto, everything felt like such an easy way to kind of like submerge myself in the character. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd love to bounce off of that because, reading the script, obviously you get stuff like you're filming it, like you said, in Japan and all of that sort of stuff, acting opposite a robot. I know that probably immerses you, but is there a small detail or something unexpected that really helped you capture the character or the story in a way you like weren't prepared for?
Good question. I mean, I think actually like there's one scene where I am like cuddling with Sunny in bed. And, it's so weird because in this show, I don't really touch people that often. I just don't, because I'm like, and in the flashbacks, obviously, Masa and I are getting to know each other, and so it is more intimate. But in the present day, I don't really touch somebody. But there was something about cuddling with Sunny in my bed that felt very like the key to Suzie, where like, this like hard, dense, like piece of metal sort of like arm around me, like was actually pretty comforting. That felt significant.
Yeah, it's a significant moment.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that helped you get
Yeah.
into the, into the mindset.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you,
Congrats on the
Sophia.
show.
Thanks so
It was
much.
such a pleasure.
You too.
Spider-Man, they didn't mind. The activist directors, comments and the lectures, fanboys, professional artists and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The Hard Knock